What is up, and welcome to another episode of the Trep Tech Podcast. I am here with the extremely new, the vastly improved, and somehow yet the same as she ever was, Airial Renal. Airial, how are you doing today?
Hey, new. What do you mean by new?
You're like a brand new woman. Every time I talk to you, you've got something new and
Uh,
exciting going on. You've improved something in your life, and yet somehow you're still the exact same person I met like 10 years ago. It's the weirdest thing. It's a great phenomenon, but it has always confused me a little.
well, I'm all about continuing to grow and, be the best that you can be.
I love it. I love it. So today I've got one for you. I know you're a fan of these, so I can't wait to hear your thoughts, but it's value stacks. And is yours on crack? Because I've come across one recently that I've had to like scratch my head and go, really? Really?
I know you're ready to rant, and
I
I know
am.
you've been talking about doing this episode for a while now.
Mhm.
And to be honest, initially when you said value stack, I was thinking about value ladder and like product suite, offer suite, but you're talking about something totally different.
Uh,
You're
I'm
talking about
I'm not. I'm kind of talking about the value ladder, except there's something in it. There's a specific piece in it that I need to really focus on with this one. Just for fun here, can you explain what a value ladder is so that everyone listening along doesn't think I'm just freaking out for no reason?
so just off the top of my head, so this is not the Webster dictionary or digital marketing dictionary
Definition.
definition. That's the word. My brain is not as awake as I had hoped. But the value ladder is pretty much, some people think of it like the funnel, but it is where you start with something free, something low cost, and then your core product or mid tier, and then higher tier. So it's just saying like your progression of your offers and products.
Right.
And that's what it is. And visually, it's in the form of a ladder.
Right, right. It's your main signature product, your upsell, and your downsell as well. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of people who would view it that way. Right. And you're right. That's exactly what it is. A progressively more expensive and also more involved tiering system of your services. So usually the more expensive something gets, the more involved you as the facilitator are, and the more of your time your client gets to access. Am I wrong in saying so?
Nope, you're right. And I actually love value ladders and stuff because it turns into the funnel, like how the funnel is set up, how the offers line up with each other. So that's one of my favorite things to help people with.
Yeah, and I like them. I do. I'm not opposed to them, although I will, admittedly, we don't do them here at Podcast Bay. Like with Podcast Bay Productions, we kind of say, like, this is our service, highly customizable, though. What's your budget? So we kind of have a different approach where we don't necessarily say, here's our, I guess, in a way, like our one episode a month is one thing, our two episode a month is another, and our three episode is another. And then if you want full production or just editing, it would be different things. So I guess it could be worked into a value ladder. We've just never taken the time to do so, I guess. Do you have a value ladder in place? And if so, what does it look like?
You're going to put me on the spot.
I am.
I kind of sort of do when I create product and services. It's in my head.
Mhm.
Right now, it's not exactly a value ladder because I only really offer the tech concierge.
Okay, so similar to us, you've got your staple product, and that's what you've been kind of pounding out.
Right. With info products like the Podcasting Success Toolkit,
Mhm.
that will probably have a value ladder attached to it. So,
Oh,
like a freebie, how they can get in at a smaller price, the actual toolkit. And then if they want production or tech or whatever, that higher level, which is like one-on-one services, that would be the value ladder for it.
okay. Okay. Let's say you put out a coaching program or an online course or an individual product like you are with the Podcast Success Toolkit, which is amazing, by the way. If you guys haven't heard or seen it yet, go back a couple episodes and take a listen because this thing is in depth and it's pretty cool. And then go check out the sales page because I'm pretty sure Airial has videos on there and everything. So yeah, if you haven't seen the podcast Success Toolkit yet, please, please do yourself a favor and go check it out. It's incredible. But you down to an individual product basis will give each like offer its own value ladder if you feel it requires that, right?
Yeah. And like I said, because in my head, it's kind of like the funnel. It's
Yeah.
one way of seeing how to lay out the funnel. And that's just because of my business model right now. And because I've been focused on offering done for you services versus a myriad of different offers and products and things like that. But of course, you know me, I'm always changing, always up leveling, upgrading. So to be
Yes.
determined.
Sometimes even just changing laterally because hell, we need that sometimes, right? We do. I've got a bit of a story to tell you where there's a, how do I put it, within a certain product or service that we've encountered recently, my wife and I, there was a perceived value ladder. The person was assigning values to X, Y, and Z. I remember you used to do this with your bonuses. Do you remember your old bonus structure where
Yeah.
it would be like a bonus of this valued at this, and then a bonus of this valued at this much? So the whole thing is worth blah, 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 but we're giving it to you for insert massive discount here, right? So my wife recently went into a coaching program with, and she took it and it's incredible and it has gotten her extremely good results because she's doing it from like a personal development place. Like she wants to be more aware of her emotional side, more aware of how she shows up in the world, more aware of how she shows up for herself. So it's one of those like spiritually connected white girl things. And is working out for her though. So, you know, that's great.
Hey.
But there's something that caught my attention in the value, I guess, in the valuation, the appraisal, if you will,
Uh-huh.
of the services.
And and just real quick for those who are listening, you'll usually see this on the sales page.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's exactly where you see it. Okay. It's like, and it's the cold traffic sales page that usually does this. One thing I've learned is that if you've got a hot lead, you can literally just send them a link and say, here's the price, give me money. And if they're close enough
Yeah.
to you, they don't need to read through all the fancy shit. So there's a little tip. If they've already bought from you, you can usually just give them a paragraph. They don't need the sales page. But if they're new, you have to go in and be like, here's Airial and her history. Here is her mission. These are the results she's gotten. This is what you'll find in the course. This is what Airial hopes to achieve for you in the course. These are some people who have been through the beta, and here are their testimonials. And within those, you will see like at least 3 purchase now buttons. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So like that's kind of the breakdown. But in that section where it's like, this is what's in the course and what it's valued at, she had an online course. Like you could get access to the course. And it was valued at, I think, now these are just like arbitrary numbers, but the one I'm gonna shout out that threw me off is a legit number. Let's say the course itself is valued at $1,200.
Okay.
Then you go in and there's one-on-one calls, 4 of them worth, well, let's even say 12 of them, okay? And those 12 are worth $1,000 a piece. And then you go
Okay.
down even further and it's like access to a chat room and unlimited access to me via chat.
Okay.
And it was valued at $180,000. Like
How long is the program?
12 weeks.
12 weeks. I'll let you continue.
I'll let you swallow that, process it, get through it because you're kind of you're seeing the issue here, right? And then there were a bunch of little like freebies and support things and little things, and the valuation was perfect. But what threw me right off was that this person was claiming that their chat support, so not even their live calls were cheaper than the chat support as far as like appraisal value
Oh,
was being considered.
wow.
You know what I
And
mean?
even the one-on-ones, right?
Yeah, the one-on-one calls, the course itself. I had to hold back a lot of feelings when I was reading this because I was like, tech support and like support's free, bro. It's like a courtesy to your clients. It's not worth like it's invaluable, right? if someone were to reach out to you and say, hey, Airial, I bought your program, I'm kind of going through some things, I need to talk to you about it, you would just kind of be like, yeah, sure, no problem, and get through it. And you wouldn't be sitting there thinking like this was worth 180 grand. You know what I
Right.
mean? So it kind of threw me off. It made her sales page look all kinds of wrong, right? I don't know what to say other than like it broke my trust in the valuation of the product.
Okay, so I'm nosy. Do you remember? Don't name it on air. I'll pause this recording so you could tell me who it is. Do you remember the name of this person?
I do not remember the name. My
Oh,
wife Tor knows it. I personally I don't remember. I just remember reading through and being like, "This is great. This sounds great. Oh, this is good. This is good." Like I like the transformation. I like the messaging and the sales page. It was flawless until we got to the $180,000 part, and I went, "Wait a minute." And everything I had read and was cool with was suddenly
it
undone.
just, yeah. What was the total price?
It ended up costing Tor, I think, 10 grand Canadian. So funny money for the rest
Oh,
of y'all, like
wow.
probably 6 grand for the rest of y'all, the rest of the world. And like $1,000 for the Brits. Like I don't know how the whole thing breaks down, but I know that
Wow.
in England it would be far cheaper. In the US, a little more expensive than England. And then with us, like it seems like it takes like way more money out of our pocket. Usually if something's valued at 7 grand American, it's about 10 to 11 grand for us. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's pretty gruesome. We pay
So
about
when you get it,
30% more for what we do over here. As far as,
when
but
you
again,
get a
like it's all the same.
chance, when I'm still nosy, when you get a chance, you gotta ask Tor so I can look it up. I won't I won't post the name of the person, but I want to
Yeah.
see so we can show examples of it. Because also that reminds me of Joel Irway, a guy I've listened to his podcast. That's rare, but I've taken
That
some of
is
his
rare.
courses too. And one of the things that jumped out at me, he was talking about how to not cannibalize your offers. And that's kind of what you're saying reminds me of.
I like the terminology of cannibalizing an offer like that. It seems so fitting.
Yeah. When you create offers, there should be a clear differentiation between the different offers. Reader, it shouldn't be like, okay, well, should I choose this one or this one? It shouldn't be a struggle to know which one is for that person.
Mm.
You could cannibalize it when you come up with the value stacks and the bonuses and everything. When you add bonuses, I'll probably put an opt-in with this episode for sales pages, creating the sales pages and stuff, just for people to have a guide. Because when you create bonuses, you don't just throw stuff in there.
Yeah.
The bonuses actually have a purpose. They supplement the rest of the product. And actually, with the bonuses and everything, that's an offer. So you have the main product, and then to create the offers, the bonuses, and all the bells and whistles.
The only time I would use bonuses is early bird. If you get it in the next 3 days, we'll throw in some bonuses. But outside of that, I don't think I would use bonuses in my sales and marketing efforts because it's not something I've ever needed to do, I guess.
Right.
But I know you were a big fan of them and you still do include them in very select cases where you think they'll be valuable. And I can appreciate that a lot. But one thing I've noticed is that like you know what your bonuses are worth. The numbers they've never made me stop and go, really? Really?
Yeah,
Like,
no.
because if this is worth $1,200, why is it all of a sudden free on a
Right, right.
$200 program, right? After a while, you're basically saying like this is worth $1,200 and is effectively worthless now.
The funny thing, when I was doing the sales page for the Podcasting Success Toolkit, I was about to put, okay, bonus section. And then I thought about you. I was like, you know what? I really don't need bonuses
It should sell itself.
because, yeah, yeah. The only bonus or added incentive is that every so often I'm going to do a 6-week accelerator
Mm.
where people can get one-on-one and chat support. I'm
Okay,
not going to
yeah.
value it at $180,000. No, but
It could be worth that. Who knows? It depends on the results.
yeah.
We don't have results to bank on yet, though.
But yeah, just offer a live round so people have that support with doing it and not letting it just sit there and collect dust like everything else.
Well, absolutely, because that's Jess and I did that for Podcasting That Pays when we launched that years ago. Jess and I did 3 live calls in a 6-week period and called that, like, similar to what you're talking about, right? The accelerator. And it was
Mhm.
our live round, and that was our bonus. That was the incentive to buying it when you bought it at the price it
Yep,
was. And then after that, you could still buy it for the price. We just weren't running live rounds.
exactly. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. If you want to throw my name in the hat for some of those live rounds, feel free. We'll get
Ooh,
together and we'll do them together maybe.
perfect.
Yeah. I'm cool with it. See, that to me, that's a bonus worth doing. That makes sense. It's added support. It's one-on-one. It's not just an info product that we're saying is worth an extra 12K.
And that is the purpose of bonuses.
Right. They're supposed to be valuable and subsidiary and helping you accomplish the mission, right?
Yeah.
But if you want
So,
if you want chat support now, I'm going to charge you 180 grand.
oh my gosh. What does that even mean? I've got to read that sales page. I've got to.
But yeah, it just
I've got to do a critique or breakdown.
yeah, and there's a lesson here, okay? Again, I sing her praise, but a very important lady in my life who shall remain nameless for the sake of this example always says confused minds don't buy. And I'm going to say that again, very enunciated. Confused minds don't buy. So if you are unclear, chances are you're going to have a problem selling. But if your customer is reading your page and becomes unclear at any point, it could deter them from purchasing. I was on board. This lady would have been better off leaving her value stack out of the equation altogether. For me, my wife still convinced herself to go ahead. Great. I can appreciate that. I'm glad she did because this woman is very good at what she does. But if it were left to me to purchase from the sales page alone, at the moment when I saw that value stack, I became confused. Why is this valued like this? This doesn't make any sense to me. Why is her time responding to messages worth so much when her phone calls are not? Why is the course worth less than these responses? Is it that the course is not good, or is it that her responses are just that good? It started to cause like a whole questioning period in my head that I would have been convinced out of buying from.
Yeah. Yeah. And that again reminds me of the cannibalizing your offers. Don't make your offers negate each other. There should
Yeah.
be a clear differentiation. And even when you have a value stack, make it make sense. Don't just put some arbitrary numbers up there and blow smoke up people's asses.
Don't put the
Make it
value
make
beside it
sense.
at all. I'm going to give a couple of tips. Okay. Tip number one is if you're in doubt about anything, don't put it on your sales page. Okay. If you are sitting here going, oh man, I don't know if this looks good. I don't know if this feels good. If you're advanced, run a split test, do one with it on included and one without. But typically, if I'm not sold on something, it means it's giving me a lack of confidence. So I would be more confident if I didn't put it in, if that makes any
Yeah,
sense, right?
it does.
So it takes confusion away from you, which will take confusion away from your buyer. So step one is if you're in doubt, or tip one, if you're in doubt, don't include it. Tip two, if you are listing out your features and benefits of your program, unless it is data backed, as in you have proof. So let's say, okay, perfect example. Rage Effects Radio just did 100 listens on their first 3 episodes, or 2 episodes and a trailer. And he's really excited about that. We technically could get 100 listeners and 2 episodes and a trailer. It's data
Mhm.
backed. We've done it, right? We could technically write that one of our clients made £1 million on 80 episodes, £1 million on 80 episodes. We could write that. It's data backed. We've done it. We could write that one of our podcasts last year allowed one of our clients to book, I think, at least like 3 or 4 corporate speaking gigs. So these are things where we can say, like, these are some of the benefits to having a podcast, for instance. But we can't say valued at $80,000, valued at £1,000,000, valued at the end of the day, what are these speaking engagements worth? What was the monetary value at the end of the day of that £1,000,000? How much effort did it take? How hard was it? How frequent can these results be replicated? What did
Right.
it cost us in terms of manpower, right? There's a lot of factors that go in. Those 100 listens, what are they worth per dollar? I don't know. What have they brought in, right? A lot of this is just vanity metrics and arbitrary numbers. So we would be better off just listing the features and benefits and not including any value beside it at all.
Integrity. That keeps
Right.
coming up for me. Just whatever you do, be of integrity. Don't just put some bullshit up there.
Don't make it up. Don't make it up
Yeah,
because I'll
because
call you
you'll
on it.
it's gotta call you on it, but you'll lose your customers because there's a lot of psychology when it comes to sales and marketing.
Trust is at the top of it. And at that moment, my trust was broken. My wife knows the person a lot better, has followed her stuff for at least 2 years. So it wasn't enough to waver her trust completely. But admittedly, it caused a moment where my wife was like, I don't get it. What's her thought process here? Right. And so if
Ooh,
my wife wasn't deeply embedded in this person's world, there would have definitely been enough doubt to waver her too. But because she had built further trust and rapport with my wife and through past content and things, I guess it allows for some mistakes every now and then. But at the end of the day, like you've got to make sure that you're telling as much of the truth as humanly possible and being as clear as humanly possible because you need to keep the trust of the people who are hanging on your every word.
exactly. So I thought you were gonna rant a lot more.
It bugs me how often that happens, right? Because how often do people put together a sales page and never know the spot where they lose the people? We have all the
Mm,
sophisticated testing in the world to be like, oh, there was cart abandonment. Let's email them back, find out why, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, they made it here, but they didn't click buy now. We can track the stats. But this is a real world example of like, I read through everything. And then once I got to what she thought certain parts were worth, I was done. I had seen enough to change my mind. And so I feel like it's very important because a lot of the people you work with are building sales pages. A lot of the people I work with are trying to communicate what their programs are worth. And I think it's a worthwhile endeavor to do. I just think you have to be a lot more mindful of what you claim you're worth. Because if it's not
yes.
backed by data, if you don't have examples of what you've done, if you're not able to say, and again, like if certain elements that are supposed to be bonus or support oriented are worth more than the actual product itself, you're making yourself seem really cheap.
Yeah, it doesn't add up. It confuses the buyer, like you said. It's like, wait a minute, why isn't this more? Or why are you giving $180,000 thing away for free? Or it's confusing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so it's one of those things where why is it suddenly free when it was worth that much? Why aren't you selling it for that much? Or why is your course only worth 12K, but your text support is 180K? I'd rather
Yeah,
just, you know what I mean? Like it just
it
doesn't
sounds
make a
like
whole
that
lot of
should be an
sense.
upsell or an add-on,
Yeah, just like,
or maybe tiers. So the first tier is without the tech support, and then the second tier is with it. It seems like that would have been a better way of positioning the offer.
well, yeah, absolutely. And like I said, even if she just went so far as to leave the financial value off the side of it, I would not have had that disconnect. I would not have had the confusion because I would have been like, oh, she offers support. Cool.
All
Done.
right.
Right.
So those listening, stay tuned because I will figure out who this person is. I want I will not drop their names, but I will do a rendition of their value stack so you can see it and so we can talk about it.
With the
How does it make you
confusion and
feel?
how can we improve it? Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Because that's how we get better.
absolutely. And I'm not saying what she did was criminal or awful or anything like that. I'm just saying that it would have been enough to break a sale for her. And we are all in the business of sales. So we want to avoid this where we can.
All right. Any last words?
Yeah, make sure your value stack is not on crack.
And with that, this is another episode of the Trip Tech Podcast. Thank you all so much for listening. Make sure to check out the show notes for everything that we've mentioned, to download the freebies, to access the Podcasting Success Toolkit, and get in the next live 6-week accelerator for that. I'm so excited.
Deuces.